This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
Back. It is 107. Rain continues to fall here in Fairhaven out on the neck, and I'm sure where you are as well. Looks like a pretty wide area of rain moving onto the coast, and looks like it's going to rain probably right into tonight sometime. We'll watch that, right? Great time to be an umbrella salesman these days, right? Yeah, look, all the umbrellas that are being brought up by the anti-America, anti-Israel protesters. They're using them as part of their barricades against the police and so on and so forth. And, of course, all the rain, that helps out. Speaking about the rain, Joe Biden last night overturned a federal emergency management agency denial of a major disaster declaration for the flooding in Massachusetts last September. And but the action still appears to fall far short of what Governor Maura Healey was looking for. And so there will be some assistance made available to people in Bristol County and Worcester counties, but not for Hampden County, which had been looking for some assistance itself. We don't know what all of this means yet because the governor's in Italy, so we're not exactly sure what's going to get covered or whatever. But we'll keep you posted if you suffer damage. Just all that climate change stuff, All that climate change stuff, yeah. And government of Peru has signed a Supreme decree this week defining transsexuality as a mental disorder. Government of Peru has signed a Supreme decree this weekend defining transsexuality as a mental disorder as part of an update to the nation's essential health insurance plan. It's kind of like Obamacare or Mass Health or whatever. And as you can imagine, this has the LGBTQ IAP2S community. Where the hell did all these new letters and numbers come from? It gets bigger every day, but has them absolutely beside themselves. While the definition, according to the Peruvian government, seeks to give access to those identifying as transgender or other gender identities to health insurance coverage, the decree has been met with fierce backlash by some. U.S. medical establishment is dismissing a prestigious science report sponsored by the British government that is very critical of transgender medical claims, according to the New York Times. Britain's medical system pumped the brakes on transgender procedures on minors because the much-praised Cass report found very little scientific evidence that transing drug therapies or surgeries are the proper mode of treatment for gender dysphoria. Unfortunately, the U.S. medical establishment is ignoring the far-reaching report and is doubling down on the left-wing political lobby supporting the transgender movement. It is the most comprehensive study on transgenderism ever conducted, and even as the New York Times has admitted, the chief finding was that the evidence supporting puberty-blocking drugs and other hormonal medications in kids is remarkably weak. The UK is not the first country to turn away from transgenderism either. Over the last year, the UK has joined Denmark, Finland, Sweden, France, all of which have begun pulling away from the affirmation model of treatment wherein all a doctor needs to proceed as a patient's stated desires to do so. When the New York Times contacted the American Academy of Pediatrics, they blew off the cast report and insisted that they stand by their bowing to radical transgenderism, claiming it to be a direct contradiction to all of the studies and decisions by European medical establishments, that their approach is grounded in evidence and science. The AAP did add that it is conducting its own research now. That's encouraging to hear. Another case where there is a controversy over a drag queen here in Massachusetts. This one out in Sutton, which is up near Worcester. And there was a piece today on Mass Live. Adam Bass. We all know Adam Bass, right? Adam Bass used to work here, did some news here for us for a while. Adam Bass wrote the story. And Adam reports that residents of Sutton are divided over a workshop hosted at Sutton Memorial High School that featured a drag artist. It's a workshop at a high school in Sutton, Massachusetts that featured a drag artist. The workshop, Don't Be a Drag, Be a Queen, was part of the school's annual Connections Conference, a student-run event held every March that celebrates the traditions and histories of diverse communities. According to Sutton Memorial High School principal Ted McCarthy and interim superintendent Caitlin Paget, the workshop featured a 2-minute dance and lip sync of a song from the soundtrack from the movie Mean Girls, as well as a conversation detailing how drag artists have been part of the history of the LGBTQIA plus community. No student was required to take this workshop, and those who attended the event needed permission from their parents, according to McCarthy. The drag artist's performance and conversation with students have resulted in some residents arguing about the work of the Connections Conference and whether a workshop that presents a part of LGBTQIA plus culture is acceptable in schools. Supporters of the workshop, such as Peyton Hartshorn, said that drag shows have been a part of the LGBTQIA plus community for a long time. Hartshorn, a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, said that students should be able to learn about the community, especially those who may identify as LGBTQIA. Now, see, this is a new thing. You're going to hear a lot about this now, right? And you're already hearing a lot about this, but keep your antenna up because you're going to hear this. I'm just going to say LGBTQ because I can't remember all those other letters, and it's a real tongue twister anyway. But the LGBTQ community is now out there justifying drag queens in schools or drag queens around your children by saying, well, drag queens have been around for a long time. Absolutely. Drag queens have been around for a long time. That doesn't mean that they're compatible with public education, though. I mean, nobody's dissing drag queens or saying drag queens don't have a right to exist. I mean, we're not, the pro-Palestine demonstrators. Nobody's suggesting that drag queens don't have a right to exist. So we understand, drag queens have been around for a long, long time. But not in their schools. And they don't belong in the schools. Bill Ostonovich Jr. put forth a different view. He called the performance abnormal and implied the school set a double standard by allowing this workshop while not allowing workshops on classes that discuss religious practices. They should let it be kept in the private sector so we can make our own decisions if we want our children to see this. Well, I mean, it is made clear here in Adam Bass's story that this was not mandatory. It was after school hours, and parents had to give a permission notification that the kids can attend this. So in that regard, I'm not sure that Mr. Ustunovich has a whole lot of solid ground there. But the arguments over Connections Conference reached a boiling point on May 9th during a school committee meeting. During the meeting, supporters and opponents of the workshop clashed, with some audience members booing speakers who did not support their opinions. Colleen Model Zari, a Sutton Memorial High School teacher, said it is important for people to acknowledge or accept those who identify as part of the LGB community. She told the school committee and the audience a story of a student who told her 15 years ago that he was gay and was worried that his classmates would not pick him as class president because of his orientation. She said that same student would go on to graduate as class president in 2023. Well, I mean, this is great. This sounds like an ABC movie of the week. Wonderful thing, obviously, right? But that's still not relevant to whether drag queens should be in school. So see, you see what they're doing here, and I hope we can support. Nobody's suggesting that gay people should not go to school or be class president. It has nothing to do with it. The debate is, should we be holding seminars in our public schools entitled "Don't Be a Drag, Be a Queen," featuring drag queens? That's what's at issue here. Not whether drag queens have been around for a long time, not whether, gay people should go to public schools or gay people should be elected president. But this is the smoke screen that they put up there. So you listen to this little sob story. Like I said, it sounds like an ABC movie of the week. Oh, my God, 15 years ago, this kid came to me and said, I don't know if I'd ever be elected school president because I'm gay. And then here we are, 2023. He graduates at the top of his class. Oh, my. And everybody claps and applauds and cries and goes home. But that has nothing to do with the issue. Nothing at all to do with the issue. The issue is, do we put drag queens in our public schools? Should the public school system that we pay taxes for be teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic and not supporting the presentation of drag queens who are obviously trying to recruit people? That's the question here. I hope we can support that queer people can live their truth, because when you do not, you live a life of depression that is challenging, she said. Yeah, again, here's a quarter. Call somebody who cares. This isn't about whether people can live their truth. This is about putting drag queens in public schools. That's what it's about. Another Sutton resident, James Ahern, told the audience and the committee that he was against the workshop for what he viewed as inappropriate behavior. He then accused the school of setting a political agenda for his grandchildren. I don't believe it has a place in junior high school and in high schools, he said. I don't think it's age appropriate. The school committee closed the public comment portion of the hearing and then unanimously voted on a measure they called for that calls for an independent audit of the Connections Conference. So there will be an audit anyway. So at least the school committee is doing its job. Ben Gibbons, who was the chair of the school committee, told Mass Live he did not support the workshop that the drag artist hosted, and that the performance had, quote, no place in Sutton Public Schools. According to Sutton Public Schools interim superintendent Caitlin Paget, the Connections Conference is put together by Sutton High School Connections Group, a team of high school students and school staff whose mission is to create a welcoming school environment for students from all backgrounds. The group focuses on topics such as prejudice and holds optional workshops where students can learn about these issues. By talking about these issues with friends and the community, they hope to make Sutton High School a place where all students feel valued and understood, she said. Several members of the Central Massachusetts LGBTQIA plus community expressed their disappointment at the comments made by those who spoke out against the workshop, viewing them as an attack on their community. It was not an attack on their community. I mean, I support those who oppose this. It's not an attack on your community. It's not attack. It's not even an attack on drag queens. I mean, I happen to think that this is America. If you can make a living by dressing up as a woman and going out and entertaining people, fine, fabulous, good for you. I mean, people have made a lot of money doing that. RuPaul, Flip Wilson used to dress up as, hey, Geraldine, sock it to me. Remember that on TV? That devil made me do it. Made a lot of money doing that stuff. Good for you. I think that's fabulous. But recruiting young people in public schools, that crosses a line. That's not the place for this. So, again, you've got a member of the LGBTQIA plus community viewing opposition to this as an attack on the gay and lesbian community and the transgender community. Pride Worcester wrote that drag performances are a form of expression with a long-standing history in LGBTQIA plus history and stood by its collaboration with the Connections Conference Committee. The group wrote that they stood in solidarity with McCarthy's assessment that there was nothing harmful about the workshop. Attempts to criminalize the art of drag queen. What? These people I want to say they're nuts and they don't know what they're talking, but they do. They know exactly what they're talking about here. Listen to this, because this wins support. When they come out and they hold a press conference, maybe a little teary-eyed or whatever, attempts to criminalize the art of drag are happening all across the country. No, it's not. Nobody is attempting to criminalize the art of drag. Nobody that I know of anyway. I have not heard of a single person suggesting that being a drag queen should be criminalized. Nobody has said that I have heard anyway. Maybe you can find a quote somewhere and you can point it out to me. But I've never heard that. So nobody is trying to criminalize the art of drag. This is spin. It works. It's effective. You feel sorry for these people. Oh, here I'm just a poor little drag queen and they're trying to criminalize what I do. No, just keep it out of public school. That's all. Drag queen all day long. Just don't do it in my public schools. So again, the spokesperson said attempts to criminalize the art of drag are happening all across our country, and it's our job to educate, celebrate, and push back against attacks on our community. We need spaces where queer and trans voices are centered. Our story is told, and drag is celebrated matters, and remains sacred. Drag is celebrated matters and remains sacred in public schools? Drag is celebrated and remains sacred. Drag is sacred? To the point we need to be exposing our young school children to it? Again, these people are not sick. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. This is an agenda. A well-heeled political force that is moving that football that I tell you about all the time, down, just pushing it down. And the press is with them. The press is sympathetic to this movement. And the problem is with you. If you don't think that drag queens should be in your public schools around your children, the problem is with you. Oh, drag queens have been around for a long, long time. Yeah, but not in our schools. People are trying to criminalize drag. No, nobody's trying to criminalize drag. We're trying to protect our children in the values that we teach our children, not to have those values undone by drag queens or people who support them. But you got to watch it, folks. This is the way this works. And, it's kind of like in Fairhaven where there was the controversy over the gay pride flags. And the next year, after the controversy, boom, gay flags just popped up everywhere because they win. They win by pushing and pushing and pushing. Got to push back. 508-996-0500. You've been hanging a while. I appreciate that. You're next to WBSM.
Yeah, Barry, pretty good. I just listening to your monologue.
Yeah.
This is just another way of pushing cultural Marxism onto the kids and onto society by the communist Democrats using taxpayer dollars and the school system to brainwash and social engineer and put people into groups, identity politics, so they can divide and conquer. That's what it's all about. It's sad, but that's why we're seeing a lot of the students quit school before graduation because they're not there to learn, read, write, arithmetic, science, and how to start your own business, how to be an entrepreneur. They teach you how to dress and drag and dance around on top of, the cafeteria table.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what the schools have become. And we should just cut funding to the public schools because they're no longer performing their function, which is to keep people a literate society. But I'm just going to mention something quickly. It's on a different topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
But MIT Livable Income Calculator, they said to live comfortably in the United States, the figure is, if you're single, $116,000 a year. And if you live in Hawaii, you can live at $113,000 and live very comfortably in Hawaii. And as far as a family of four, a couple and two kids, you have to be making $347,000 or more a year to live comfortably here in the state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Because isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy.
I thought I'd bring that up. Maybe you can,
Yeah, this
look
is
into that
Morris, Massachusetts. Absolutely. More the people
she's over there in Rome and the cafes. And mind you, Mayor Michelle Wu also is not helping out the Italian restaurants there who wanted to put out their tables and so people can dine outside. But yet she's in Rome eating outside in the Italian restaurants. Isn't that a contradiction?
Yeah, with her kids on the taxpayers.
Absolutely. So this is Democrats for you. They're hypocrites, and they go over there looking how to keep people in business and economic development, and they're stifling business here with overregulation and high taxes. Hypocrites.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you waited. 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Good afternoon.
Hey, Barry. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
The thing is, if you go back in your history and mine, drag queens and that whole, that cabaret and that, it was always adult entertainment, or it was always in adult entertainment areas for the most part. And, I watched a video from Jordan Peterson, who's a sociologist, psychologist, and he basically outlined drag queens as a sexual fantasy. It's not a gender. And that gets confused in this whole, the average person isn't like trying to figure out who's got what pronoun and who, what gender is the popular gender today and how many letters are there in the alphabet of LGBTQ. I don't personally have time to worry about it, for instance. Yeah. But the fact that they're moving drag queens into, which is again, a noted psychologist, Jordan Peterson, said this is a sexual fantasy. That's why these men dress up as women. And they're going through a sexual fantasy. Why these people are in front of children and for any reason, and what adults are stupid enough to do this, they should have their heads examined. So I'm not saying that these people are sexual predators. I don't think that's the case, but I think that it's completely inappropriate. Why not take the kids to a strip club? I mean, what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm joking on that, but when this subject comes up every time, I feel that that there's a serious common sense loss of common sense for some people, because this is not helping or aiding a child. They're not old enough to understand what they're looking at for the most part. This isn't Santa Claus.
But you know what? The cross-dressers know that. They understand that. But what they are doing is maybe a bad choice of words, but it's a full frontal assault on the parents and the system, the decision makers, because they can come out. They can come out and blast everybody around. Let us into your world and tell your children about us, or we're going to be loud. We're going to disrupt. We're going to protest against you. We're going to file suit. We're going to call you all kinds of names. I'll never forget. I probably told this to you, and I think you probably even heard it the day that Paul Schmidt was on the program, and he was talking about the transgender bill being the civil rights bill of our time, the transgender bathroom bill up in Massachusetts. And here's a guy who was kicked in the head one too many times by his cows, no question, to even think that. But this is the kind of pressure that's put on society now. And when you hear these drag queens coming out and saying, well, they're trying to criminalize drag, nobody believes that unless it's being unless it's being presented to them that way. And then they say, well, yeah, gee, look, all the pressure that's being put against these poor people who only want to, read to our children and why not? Or the politicians, that don't want the LGBTQ crowd following them around and protesting them and issuing statements about them. So it's this is how they move that football up the field, and they're continuing to do it here.
Yeah, I get, again, I think that parents with their children could decide what they want to do. There used to be a point in our history where parents were challenged when they were putting their kids in front of things that were considered that may be considered detrimental to the children. But now that's sort of gone away completely. I don't even know if they offer if you go to a school to be a coach, I don't even know if they do query checks anymore. I mean, who knows? But I think that I don't understand why these people want to, they're not helping their cause by, going to a library and, reading stories in drag in basically sexualized clothing or lingerie. And then in some cases, we've seen, that they're doing dances and gyrations and,
But they are helping their cause. That's the thing, though. I mean, we can't confuse these folks with gay and lesbians. Because we can't. I mean, the whole gay lesbian movement has been hijacked, and that's why they came up with this LGBTQ++ and all this kind of stuff, because they want to borrow. Yeah, they want to attach themselves to the lesbians and gays, and the ones that I know that are out there that are gay and lesbian resent that very much. And they say you're setting us back, but they are advancing their cause because they are getting into. They're getting access to, and I'm going to disagree with you. I think a lot of these people are predators, and not the ones who go out and make money in a drag club or whatever, or do the Sunday brunches out at White's, but I mean the ones that want to get into the classroom. To me, that's predatory behavior. If you want to get on the floor with 3-year-olds and roll around with your fake boobs on, that to me is sexual. You're right, it's fantasy, but it's also sexualizing the children and sexualizing the activity. This isn't about teaching kids how to read. This is about spreading a message and recruiting.
No, and I'll leave you with this. I agree with you, and I'm sure there are people in the group that turn their sexual fantasy, which is being a cross-dresser, into something with kids. So whatever. But to me, again, I think that what this LGBTQ hijacking, like you're talking about, is doing is it's putting people with more psychologically debilitating conditions in front of kids and other people, and people that need help. Basically, that's what Jordan Peterson said. There's a point where there's a group in there that keeps adding themselves to the list, but they actually need psychological help. And I think that the people that are transgender, that are promoting kids to be transgender and get mutilated in the meantime, those are the sick people to me.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. I got to hold you right there. Got to hit a break. We're coming right back. Your calls are important, and they're next on Fox News Digital. Maryland's largest school district does not have to allow parents to opt their K-5 children out of classes and books that discuss LGBTQ topics like sexuality and gender. Federal Appeals Court. Maryland's largest school district does not have to allow parents to opt their K-5 children out of classes and books that discuss LGBTQ topics like sexuality and gender. The 2-1 ruling by the 4th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals affirms a lower court decision denying a preliminary injunction on the basis that the parents had not shown how the policy initiated by the Montgomery County Public Schools Board would violate the children's First Amendment right to free exercise of religion. The parents had argued that the refusal to provide an opt-out from their children's exposure to LGBT themed books and related discussions violates federal and state law. Some of the book titles include The Pride Puppy, Uncle Bobby's Wedding, and Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope. Can you freaking believe this? Is the United States of America in 2024. The parents argued that the books contradict their religious duty to train their children in accordance with their faith on what it means to be male and female, the institution of marriage, human sexuality, and related themes. This goes on, but so the court, the Federal Appeals Court, says the parents do not have a right to opt their kids out, kindergarten through 5th grade, from having to be exposed from these books in the classroom. Now, we're not talking about after school. We're talking about in the classroom. Kindergarten through 5th grade. The Pride Puppy, Uncle Bobby's Wedding, Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope. On and on it goes. The filth, the perversion, the corruption that is happening in our schools involving our school children is nauseating. And yet it goes on. 508-996-0500. Thanks for hanging on. You're next on WBSM.
Hey, Barry, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Listen, you brought up the LGBT flag in Fairhaven a little while back.
Yeah.
There's an establishment in Fairhaven that has the American flag and the LGBT. Listen, I have family members that are LG, they're lesbian, they're gay, nothing against them. But they have the LGBT flag and the American flag at the same level outside their business. The American flag should be higher than any, because I'm a veteran, the American flag should be higher than any flag. But it has that disgusting flag at the same level, swapping the American flag. And that every time I drive by that place, it disgusts me, because the American flag should never be at that level. That really pees me off when I drive by that place.
Yeah. Well, this is
you know what I'm talking about.
This is a business you're talking about? A business that's...
Barry, it's not too where you are. It's right up the street. It's across from Stop and Shop.
Okay, I haven't noticed it. I don't normally go that direction.
It's there because I drive that direction.
Okay, I don't disbelieve you. I was just clarifying that it was a business. Yeah. I don't always hear well, so it's a business that's doing. There's one solution: you don't go there. And
absolutely not. Listen to me. Listen, like I said, LG is fine. It's all the other letters that after that's completely corrupt. But that flag should never be at the same level as the American flag. Okay. The American flag is always higher than the other flag, but they have that disgusting flag flapping across the American flag every day, okay? I don't go there. I would never, ever go there for that one reason.
And that is certainly your right as a consumer. And anybody who listens to you right now maybe could drive by and see where that business is and make a decision about whether or not they want to go there. And we have a right as a consumer to put pressure on businesses that do things that we don't like and that do not support our moral views. Public schools, we don't seem to have a right anymore. And you just heard that decision from the Federal Appeals Court that you do not have the right now to opt your kids out, K through 5, from being read these books and being taught these lessons in public schools, at least in Maryland. And I think that is absolutely absurd. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you bringing that up. And let's go this way. You're next in WBSM. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Barry. This topic is... not surprising, to be perfectly honest. I've known this for many, many years. These people are sick and twisted in the head, and they always will be. They need psychiatric help, not drugs, not surgery. That just ruins you for the rest of your life.
Well, I hate painting everybody with the same brush, because that would be unfair to do that. I mean, I can't sit here and say that anybody who is a drag queen is mentally deficient and is a pervert and everything else. There are certainly people who are involved in that community, just like there are Catholic priests who are perverts, right? I mean, it crosses all.
But the point is this is being done in front of children, not grown adults.
But that's a whole different subject. That's a different subject now. So there are people who are getting involved in these kind of activities that are taking it to the kids, and in that I disagree with you. Look, if you want to dress up as a woman all day long, knock yourself out. I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm not going to pass judgment on you. If that's what you want to do it, and just don't involve the children and stay out of the public schools.
But they're involved in the children on purpose because they want to make this disgusting behavior normal.
Right.
So when a guy approaches your child and tries to flirt with your 8-year-old daughter, instead of you beating him within an inch of his life, you just let it slide.
Yeah.
They want to normalize this sick, depraved behavior for kids.
Well, the problem is you've got a political and it's a political and well-financed group of people that are advancing an agenda here. And unfortunately, the media and some folks in our society have signed on to this. And they are out there allowing these people to promote it. It's not a healthy agenda. But again, this should not paint all people who are gay, all people who are lesbian, all people who are transgender. There are transgender people out there, too, who just want to go about their lives and not be bothered with all the circus that's going on out there, or don't want to advance an agenda. But there are those who are looking for opportunities to do exactly that. And those are the ones that we're hearing about. And those are the ones that are out there saying, well, they're trying to make being a drag queen illegal. No, that's not true. But that's politics, and that's how you move the football down the field. Thank you, my friend. I got to hit a break, and I'm going to come right back after this. Your calls are important. They're next. And backfield in motion. Yeah, that was another big one for Mel and Tim. And what was the other? There was one more huge one that I used to like. Oh, my God. I'll think of it anyway. 508-996-0500 is our phone number. Let's get back to your calls because you've been waiting, and I appreciate that. You're next on WBSM.
Good afternoon, Barry. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good, Barry. Listen, this whole case like in Maryland, I think that the parents should take this right to the Supreme Court because you look at every three major religions in this world, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All three are pretty clear about homosexuality, period. They're pretty clear about that in their faith. So that should be a slam dunk. Those are probably liberal hack judges who don't follow the Constitution. That's what that is, like right there. So hopefully they have the funds and the means so some nonprofit law firm will take it to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court rules it down or rules it up, either which way, you're going to see an explosion, which is happening now in private schools, but especially like parochial schools. I'm speaking to parents right now who aren't religious at all. And they're already saving for parochial schools, and their sons and daughters are like 1 year old. Yeah. And they're saving, even though they're not religious, but having the morality and the safety knowing that their children are being brainwashed.
Well, the big issue here, Paul, to me is the courts telling parents that they don't have a right, regardless of what the topic is, you don't have a right to determine what your children are going to learn in school.
It's insane. It's totally insane. And it just proves, ever since COVID, this is what's happening. Our country's becoming...
Oh, this has been going on long before COVID, but parents have discovered it during COVID because they've been home. Yeah.
Yes. But the biggest advances that they receive, the biggest advances that pushes, that's the scariest in my opinion, is the medical community. They infiltrated the medical community and got enough doctors, and especially these boards of hospitals, to believe this BS that has no basis on anything of medicine or science at all. Okay, when it's scary when you work for hospitals and they talk about menstrual inequality. Okay, you've reached a point where medicine has become a joke.
And there's almost no turning back from it. Paul, I got to hold you for the news. If you get a chance, go on to Breitbart. Right to your point, U.S. transgender industry rejects warnings from British science report. Excellent story, and I think you'd appreciate seeing it. U.S. transgender industry rejects warnings from British science report. It's how the American Medical Association is rejecting 4 years' worth of research on this subject from the Brits, who, like many other European countries now, are turning away from this whole thing with transing children. Got to hit the break. We're coming right back. Stay tuned. A fortune, and the kids get to meet the characters and take a picture with them, and so on and so forth. Tinkerbell, no longer a meet and greet character. You know Tinkerbell, the cute little pixie from Peter Pan, right? No longer a character for meet and greet. Disney's Stories Matter, a group developed to ensure the company's content accurately represents its diverse audiences. Well, they flagged Tinkerbell as, quote, potentially problematic. According to a 2022 article from the New York Times, the Stories Matter team claimed that she is body conscious and jealous of Peter Pan's attention. So kids can no longer meet Tinkerbell. We are reviewing our offerings beyond the screen, which include products, books, music, and experiences, according to the Stories Matter homepage on Disney's website. While advisories for negative depictions of people and cultures may be added to some offerings, others will be reimagined. We are also investing in new ways to better reflect the rich diversity of stories